Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark, the Zerg player in the red, the final boss. It's Dark. Facing off against the most relatable Terran in the blue, the People's Terran. We have Cure, a best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg showdown. Cure's tenacity against Dark's devious originality, in what is sure to be something at least a little bit creative, unlike me begging you for likes and subscribes. And Jimmy, what? 1,359 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Cure versus Dark, a tale as old as when Olivera was still called Time. As these two have gone back and forth. Cure was part of the triumvirate, alongside Hero and Dark, of players that regularly graced the finals of pretty much every single weekly cup they were awake for. He's kind of been pushed a little off to the side by Beyond, but not entirely. His ridiculous macro, maybe not ridiculous, but he gets his relatively mediocre micro is easily overshadowed by the sheer amount of units he puts on the field. He truly understands that quantity is a quality all its own. And starting things off, he's focused entirely on that. 3 command centers, double engineering bay, about the greediest possible build that you could do as Terran while still pretending to have enough units to deal with your opponent. Dark has a Roach Warren on the way, which certainly could complicate things, considering Cure's entire army consists of 4 Hellions, a Reaper, and 3 Marines at the moment. But the question will be whether Dark actually pulls the trigger on a Roach all-in, or he just wants a few Sloaches out there to make sure the Hellions don't get too frisky. 6 Roaches on the way. Nothing else behind it. No lair. No, okay, 9, okay, well, that's a commitment. It's gone from, things are getting serious now. It was just a fling before. 4, 5 Roaches, 10 Lings on top, well. Looks like Dark putting a ring on this push, and the Queens pushing the creep out. Already nearly halfway across the map. The Roaches will be revealed. The Zerglings would give it all away. Notably, no Banshee. Went straight to double engineering bay. Dark is gambling right now that there's effectively nothing at home to defend. He knows that, well, he knows about the Hellions. He's known everything that came out. He can't know there isn't a Banshee on the way. He just has his suspicions, and it's game 1. So he opens things up with an artisanal Roach timing like only Dark can. And Cure is going to have a singular bunker with which to defend it. Is that going to be enough? Well, there's only one way to find out. 3 more Ravagers on the way. Dark, if the Banshee was going to be out, it would have showed up by now. Here come the Ravagers. Here come the Lynx. Flings out a wave of corrosive bile. Knocks out half a dozen SCVs. Another wave takes the bunker. The Hellions, the Marines, way too few in number. Another wave of corrosive bile. 18 SCVs dead. Ravagers rampaging through the ramp. And Dark has had enough of game #1. And he says, let's ask for seconds. Cure has almost nothing. You're not going to get away with it. Dark, well known for such decisive strategies early on in the series. Cure tried to gamble that maybe he'll just go full macro. And sometimes when you gamble, well, you could lose. And it's going to cost Cure game 1 in almost embarrassing fashion. As 29 SCVs dead, it's all over but 2 Gs in a row on the keyboard, or whatever the Korean keyboard equivalent is. 1-1 is done for all 9 Marines. That number going to be dipping dramatically. Not that it's particularly high as it is. Great micro. Good placement on the Hellions. If only there weren't half a dozen Ravagers spraying and praying like it's a unruly frat party right now. Then maybe Cure might have some comeback potential. But stubborn as ever, the People's Terran indeed. I still have 6 Marines. I can micro my way out of this one. Yeah. And you know what? He may very well do so. He holds the ramp. And whatever shreds of dignity he pretends to have left. But more practically, he is very, very dead. He drops a few mules, which have been, you know, those mules. Okay, all right. Well, moving on. Game 1, Dark. Backhand cures engineering bays out of the production tab and says, come back at me with a real build. Well, what does a real build look like? Dark just holds up a picture of a banshee. Well, game 1 over before the intro really even got started. But if you've never seen Dark before, which I find hard to believe, no Dark, you've always seen Dark. It's the absence of light. Close your eyes. All right, now open them and hit like and subscribe. But that is the sort of strategy Dark notorious for doing that to players he deemed lesser in especially foreign, non-Korean players in the GSL. And he just hit cure with it as well. Those Ravager timings. Once they get going, if you don't have the units ready for it, if you didn't scout it by the time the Ravagers are at your door, it really comes down to them screwing up more than anything you can do as a Terran. But, well, we'll see. Right. Well, here we are. We'll see if Cure comes up with something a bit less fragile in game number 2. He's starting it off with 2 ranks at the natural here on Oceanborn. He's on the correct side of the map. Those add-ons not going to be exposed to Zerglings. Just instead bureaucratic oversight. One of the few things in SC2 that is dependent on which side of the map you're on. Occasionally there will be build orders that do revolve around it. Whether it's punishing a Terran, or even in ZVZ it can be a bit of a difference because the larva always spawns on the, we're going to go with south side of the hatch. Not that cardinal directions really make sense here, but you get what I'm saying. So, in Zerg versus Zerg especially, or when dealing with bunker rushes or cannon rushes, that can occasionally be relevant. Nowadays, with 12 workers to start, rarely do you get that sort of scenario. But occasionally it comes into play. Same thing with the exact angle of walling off with Protoss. Well, that's pretty symmetrical on either side. Don't worry, we're deep into the tournament. You don't find many Protoss around these parts. More Reapers on the way. Just 3pers to start? You're not a huge connoisseur of the mass Reaper builds, but definitely something to have in your pocket. The 3pers can potentially, well, they have deadly potential. Almost every early game Terran unit has deadly potential. Realizing that potential is a little harder. But the Reaper's finding a lot of progress so far, and Dark has gone for gasless 3 hatch. So it's just the Queens dealing. Get off my creep! Oh my god, Karen. What the f... You're gonna get us demonetized. I didn't say anything wrong. I just hate Terrans. I apologize. Reapers, well, the Queens bounced around. Now 3pers together. Enough to actually take out a Queen on her own. Even with a friend nearby, if they're getting bounced around like a particularly explosive moon house. Moon house? Like bouncy moon boots. You get where I was going with it. Not that that was necessarily helpful, but now 3 Queens as the Monarchy rebels against the Reapers. But so far, well, not quite enough creep to easily maneuver around. Building up enough energy for some transfusions. There's no speed here. Dark just gave up on the idea of the Zerglings being any use. And Cure keeps building Reapers. He built on the low ground. The Overlord on the high ground that Cure doesn't even know is there. Scouted this. And he's able to delay the command center with slowlings. We call them speed challenged. That sounds worse. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I don't. Now a Roach Warren on the way as Dark is hamstrung the 3rd command center. It will eventually finish. It's not a big delay. Building it on the low ground saves you the time it takes to lift it over, but if you lose a couple SCVs in the process, kind of negates that small advantage. Dark did hold on. He got his third base so quickly, the Reapers were not really a threat to it. So that is why, right now, I think still in a comfortable position. Not nearly as dangerous for Cure as the... Well, Cure. Dark. Taking a look at that picture of a Banshee again. He wouldn't do it again. He definitely would. If there is one thing you should know about Dark, it's that there's not just one thing you should know about Dark. But if there was one of the many things you should know, it's that he'll totally do it again. He'd do it 3 games in a row. Even if he ends up losing one of them, it's worth a shot. And the Reapers don't quite spot it. Has he even seen a roach? He's gonna spot one roach, which alarm bells should be going off. You know, actually, that does sound appropriate for the Terrans. In the third base, with some SCVs, a few mules, and here come the Zerglings as well. Zergling speed is done. Dark at only 44 drones. The stim is not completed. You don't want to be out here, Marines. The door's open. He's gonna go for the wraparound. Not gonna be enough. Ravagers, corrosive bile, just barely. Oh no, stim! Stim, 8 seconds, 7 seconds. He needs that stim done. And 1 second. It's done. All right. So the stim will help, but it is damage to the Marines that he can't necessarily heal. In fact, he just finished building a starport, working on the medevacs. What? Cure. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Cure. Oh, another wave of files. He doesn't even bother trying to dodge. And Dark is inside the main, and the SCVs are being ripped apart. Oh. And another wave. He is a Dark. He takes off his glove and says, "You tried it again?" Oh my God. Wow, Dark. Not even making it look not particularly close. He just murdered him. We just watched a murder. He's got a fever, and Cure now looking for the antidote. Well, I was expecting maybe to... can we even run ads on this? Maybe 1? What if he does it again? He'll do it again. At this point, I'd be surprised if he didn't. We're going to Alcyone. God. It's beautiful and terrible at the same time. Let's make no mistake. Cure is being a greedy goose over here. Going for the double engineering bay before a Banshee. That is very simply... I think this series will now come down to whether or not Cure reinvents Banshee technology. As Dark off to a comfortable and somewhat embarrassing 2-0 lead here. Cure with a lot of ground to make up and a few build orders to review. You can't just go 3cc into double NG Bay and hope the Zerg won't attack you. This is not no rush 8 minutes. And by the way, even if it was no rush 8 minutes, what were those 7 Reapers? Oh, that was a peacekeeping expedition, I see. Cure making the random number of Reapers that felt like it might actually get some damage done, but really only did emotional damage to the Zerg. I think he killed, like, 1 drone and, like, 6 lings, maybe? Made the queens very upset. So that's something. But Cure, one of the top 4 Terrans in the world. And that sounds like, trust me, guys, he's really good. He is. If you let Cure get rolling, and he goes toe-to-toe with Dark, if he can survive to the 7-minute mark, not even, like, in a bad spot, but not being literally dead, his macro is second to none. It has to be, in many cases. Looks like we've rediscovered the factory timing there. Not gonna bother with the Reapers. The drone deliberately hiding in the corner away away from where the Reaper pathing will go. Just a little detail, but Reaper doesn't even bother checking for it. Going to do its typical will they, won't they with the Lynx. Queen pops out. Spots the base. Third command center on the way. Moment of truth, Cure. Can you learn from your mistakes? Or is it true that every single Terran player is just copying down their builds from 2013 and only slightly changing the numbers? There's a starport instead of 2 engineering base. It appears learning has taken place. Dark smacks the engineering base out of his production tab. And this time around, it should at least be something out of the starport. There's the tech lab. Let's see the Banshee here. Or even better, not see the Banshee and go cloak. I like how, like, Cure is in the middle of a high-stakes tournament, educating Cure on what he can and cannot do in terms of build orders. Either you go Banshee or you die. Those are the options. There might be a little wiggle room, like maybe a Liberator or some sort of Cyclone timing, but certainly not double engineering bay. That is done. So the Banshee with Cloak is on the way. Not even a Roach Warren in production this time, because Dark has already spotted the starport timing. He didn't see the tech lab, but he spotted the starport timing with the Overlord that's now hanging out. I didn't even know where it was. It's not even on the minimap. Hey, it's not my fault. What is that? Do you see? Tell me. Okay, well, you can kind of see it there. Ah, okay, so some pixels are cut off on my screen. Jimmy, I need more pixels. Well, it's there. Just, hanging out, as it does. It's probably most of its job. Going to wait for 2 Banshees. Still a Roach one out of Dark, but a much less aggressively timed one. He's already got a lair on the way. He's going to go past 50 drones before the Roach Warren is even done. So clearly, at this point, he realizes that Kier has learned respect, and he will honor that agreement. Wow. Banshee Cloak done. I'm sure Dark is suspecting. Ah, he gets through and is working on the rocks from inside the house. Counterattack path, very valuable to have as time goes on. This map, one of the best for tank pushes in the entire pool. Need to have some kind of secondary angle to engage. Alright, the Banshees headed in towards the main. Pre-cloaked. Dark already has an Overseer on the way. Yeah, Banshee's gonna be annoying. Even if you have the Spores and the Queens in position, they're gonna find a spot, get some damage done. Dark 61 drones. Not a massive lead to secure. Already at 60 SCVs. 3 CC will do that. Infestation pit. Full macro from both sides. Kier going up to 5 racks. Has 1-1 on the way. About the same timing as Dark's 1-1 upgrades. Same amount of time for both of them to complete as well. Infestation pit, Baneling nest. 4th hatchery out of Dark to the north side. As it looks like we got something close to that no-rush 7-minute game that Kier was hoping for. And the Octo-Rex. He's stopped building SCVs at the 62 mark. Okay, 65, I guess. Oh, hey, boys. Where you going? See you on the other side, eh? Changeling. Plays it cool. Banshee is denying anything over to the right flank. Well, the double drop lined up for the left. Yeah, and Kier is going for the Octo-Regs timing. He stopped SCV production. He's pumping out those siege tanks, trying to put some pressure on with the Marines. Hive Tech is already in production. Another drone down. The corrosive bile. Just demonstrating a strong dislike for the medevacs presence here. Wow, going for triple tech lab. Gonna be adding in a bunch of marauders. Just trying to beef out that composition. Which is somehow a verb in this scenario. Dark going towards Hive as quick as possible. Not even bothering with the 2-2 upgrades. A little bit interesting as he has 800 gas in the bank. He clearly wants Vipers. Maybe some Infestors as well. We'll start the upgrades. A bit late overall. Baneling speed, very important to have as he works in the Zerglings and Banelings. Roaches and Ravagers are all well and good, but pound for pound, not sure that's an equivalent metric, but the Roach Ravager just does not do nearly as well as Ling Bane against a critical mass of Marines and tanks. Having a mixture of both gives you a much better chance of being able to take that army head on. Brenda, why do they get to fly and we don't? We talked about this, Susan. We talk about this every day. Oh, the Roaches, Lings, and Banes coming through. And Dark bites off the first siege tanks. The Banshees will be taken out. Looks like the Transfuses. One of the Banshees almost taken down. Dark refilling. Vipers on the way. Cure down to just one siege tank, but a lot of Marauders here will make things more difficult. Kind of a mixed bag. Marines have more DPS, but the Marauders are going to be much harder for this army to take down reliably. And of course, we'll slow down a lot of the Banelings in the process. The saving grace here is knocking the siege tank count down, but here comes Dark again. Tank unsieges. In comes Dark. In before the upgrades. That single tank pulls back. The Baneling count isn't high enough. The corrosive biles get the tank, but Dark's supply is cut down, and that was before the Bio Army got its +2 upgrades. And now Cure is just tearing through everything. Sidesteps, gun down the Queens. The Vipers gathering energy. The Marines and Marauders say, you know what? You can go ahead and kill that hatch yourselves. But Cure, now with the army and with the upgrades. The Vipers, yeah, they rethink consuming a hatchery that's already in the orange. Dark trying to hold on here. When medevacs dodge away. A lot of those units, well, a lot of the medevacs are almost out of energy. Dark very concerned for the hatchery, which is a few good Marauder shots away from being taken out. The Vipers need to decide how to actually use this energy. Dark is giving up on that hatchery entirely. He's trying to save. He's got Ultralisk in production. Infestors on the way. I think the Infestors are what he's waiting for. And a big counterattack here, but Cure has enough army knocking on the door. And Dark is going to try to slip past Cures. The Marines and Marauders at the, not really rampant choke point here at the checkerboard depots. More than enough to stop the Zerglings in their tracks. And now Cure can focus all his efforts on ripping through the last of the Terran army. Yanks a tank into point-blank range. Whips out corrosive biles onto it. Parasitic bomb. Quarantines most of the medevacs. Throws out an incredible fungal. And that may be enough to actually keep Dark going. Another wave of corrosive bile. Knocks out the Liberator. No chitinous plating for the singular Ultralisk. But Dark, when all looked lost, he pulls it back just barely. But does he have any more Infestors to save the day? He's thinking the same thing. Puts one in production, but it's a long way off from being delivered. And Cure is just grinding his way across the map. His economy has been relatively untouched. Maybe one or two SCVs lost to the counter. Dark doesn't have the supply. He doesn't have the tech. The Ultras try to come down a ramp. But the siege tanks in the sky and on the ground are making it very difficult for them to get anything done. He desperately wants that last Infestor. The Viper! Parasitic bomb. The Viper somehow lives. A strong gust of wind could kill that Viper. But the Terrans right now, not so much. Dark still has a base to the north. But Cure is slow playing it. And right now, That's really... The Infestor throws out a fungal, but the Zerg army just can't get close. Dark can't afford to trade out the amount of units he needs in order to break this. And Cure understands that. Here come the reinforcements. The Viper has gone down, the Corrosive Bile just stimmed through, and Cure strikes back with a well-executed, well-planned, and well-finished 8 Rex, Octo Rex build. Beautifully done. And Dark, I'm sure, regretting teaching him how to build a Banshee after that one. Well, as you can see, and that is part of the reason I think Dark, out of some respect, making sure to kill Cure's momentum as soon as possible. As once he gets the ball rolling, even if he loses huge chunks of army, there's a detail. It's like being a great accountant. All right, queuing up units at the right time, making sure your production is on point, not overbuilding depots, but not underbuilding depots. It's an art form. It's a boring art form, like looking at Excel sheets, but still, it's an art form nonetheless. So that puts Cure on the board. Still, Dark just one game away as we go into what is still match point. That's how math works. Amphion. Our most creative of maps here in the current pool. And speaking of pool, Dark reaches for his as a pool-first build. Twirls his mustache in the time it takes to build the spawning pool. It isn't, there's no gas. Doesn't look like any sort of crazy one base. As obviously expanding behind, but something to turn the game sideways before Cure can get settled. And is Cure going to SCV Scout at all? It's always it almost feels random with Terrans, but nope, looks like the SCV just going to go straight down the ramp. So that means the Zerglings will be able to slip by the Reaper, unless Cure suspects exactly this build and intercepts it with the Reaper. Will he be able to cancel the command center? Unlikely. But just keeping the Reaper at bay, maybe killing a couple SCVs, that could be plenty of damage. And this will help aggressively defend his third hatchery. Dark built these 6 lings, and now he wants to build drones and queens for as long as possible. That Overlord, oh, it's a magnet. He is... Well, I don't know if he's so much trying to bait the Marines out of position, but he delays the command center. He just goes for it. The boys are pulled! And Cure with enough SCVs to respect these Zerglings. The Reaper comes back to defend. The boys, well, making sure that's a safe workplace for all Terrans. And the Zerglings, a slight delay, a lot of mining time lost, and an actual, a meaningful amount of it at this stage of the game. Now, Cure goes from having a significant income advantage to just a small income advantage, which has a tendency to happen when the mule drops and the Zerg goes pull first. It's going to be 2 command centers, so 3 in total. There's those numbers again. Now, the moment of truth. Cure discovered the value of Banshee-based technology, and he builds a starport, not an engineering bay. All right. If nothing else, Dark has re-educated another Terran onto the value of not dying to roaches. Double gas. It's gonna be a spicy build. I'm not sure what exactly, what timing we're looking at, as those gases are pretty quick in the grand scheme of things, but only 2 of them so far. He's opening up the mineral wall over to the left, in that part of the map, that essentially mining DLC, adds a whole nother avenue of attack. And not just for air units once you open up these mineral walls, but getting the other side mineral walls is the more difficult part. This also could be a potential fourth base. He builds a Viking first, Kier does.
Add-on complete.
Looks like he scouted the third base with drones at it and feels confident enough. He builds the Viking first and then gets Cloak Banshee. All right, okay. It's like, well, I still want to do something. But I appreciate the Cloak Banshee behind. In fact, he's gotten safer every game. So, despite the kind of weird start to this one with just those 6 Zerglings, looks like we're going to even out. With both players having 3 bases, Dark having an advantage in workers, getting up towards layer tech. Wait a second. He doesn't have any Evo chambers. He's getting more gas. I don't think it's Muta's. But no Evo chambers at all? Oh, they're there. Could just be a rush to hive tank. He's got plenty of drones. In fact, 65 drones. 5.5 minutes. The Evo chambers are almost exactly the same time as the engineering base for his counterpart. And ranged attack in Carapace. Well, just all Zerg Carapace. You know, should affect buildings as well. Banshee. In the main, the queens sense something is amiss. The Banshee flies away before any exchanges can be had. Into the natural where there's no Spore Crawler. Wow, the Banshee was so delayed. Dark, you taught him too well. The Banshee was so delayed that Dark didn't think it would be Banshees. He went Viking into Cloak Banshee. So we've gone all the way the other direction. From double NG Bay, no starport, into delayed Cloak Banshee. And these Banshees, 9 kills, 10 kills. Dark scrambling to defend. It's a minor disaster, which is quickly graduating into a much larger one. Saves a transfuse. Small consolation. But while Dark is replacing these drones immediately, the amount of time that Kier has bought and the amount of resources he has to spend just replacing this amounts to quite a delay in everything else Dark wants to do. Moving towards Hive, getting almost certainly lurkers. And now Kier can follow this up with a double medevac drop, and Dark hasn't been able to do much besides shake an angry little whatever those vestigial queen fists are at him. Infestors. Lurker Den on the way, but the double drop is headed into the main. And there's almost nothing here to defend. The Marines will drop out. Stim is done. Spore Crawler. Queen gun down. Looking for more. Trying to target the medevacs. Already getting a lot of damage on one. Underestimated that +1. The Queen's not quite able to take it down, but Lurker Den. Halfway there. Hive as well. But the Banshees come in towards the 4. And now, well, Groovy Spawns is finishing, but God, the Banshees. Dark is like, I can't believe I encouraged him to go Banshees. I should have just played normal macro those first games. Banshees are so good. They've been so good for 14 years. The Octo-Rex is on the way. Cure again. Going to attempt this strong timing. 3 base, almost a 3 base all in, but it has so much economy you can definitely transition out if you're able to really delay anything, like say a 5th base. But there's already, unlike last game, Dark will have Vipers fully operational by the time the siege tank push arrives. He's going to have a Lurker Den already completed. He's already going to have plenty of Roach Hydra. single Viking still. A couple more would be helpful to zone out the Vipers. Kira's taking his sweet, sweet time here. The creep spread is kind of mediocre as the Queens have been scrambling around the map to deal with the Banshees. But Dark will have most of the pieces of the late-game Zerg tech puzzle. Just like that sentence. Completed by the time this arrives, and the fungal thrown out to start. Slows things down. 9.5 minutes in, both sides effectively maxed out. Lurkers on the way. Vipers. At least 2/3 energy. Banshees still hitting the base. Seismic spines, lurker range about to complete. But here comes the Terran army. Dark yanks one tank into lurker range. The infestors out in front. Blinding Cloud whips out 2 fungals. Green clouds and green globs. And is it enough? Not quite. The concave. For the Terran, too damn good. Banshee's still working on the alternative base. Dark gets a cancel off at the last second. I don't know if he was actually waiting for it or he just noticed it at that moment. But still, he's limited to this base here. The lurkers are working their way through. 2/2 upgrades done right now for Cure, giving him a fleeting advantage. Whips out some more corrosive bows, takes out 2 medevacs and a siege tank. Oh baby, a triple. And 2/2's now done for Dark. Another wave, knocks out another tank. He's slowly but surely dismantling this push. The reinforcements are taking their time coming across the map. The medevacs are actually out of energy. Another wave of corrosive bow. Another siege tank down. That's the last one here. And the Banshees oversee at the front. Get off my creep! Get him, Brenda. I will have my revenge in this life or the next. Heal me. I want it to be this life. Do you have life insurance? You don't need to know the answer to that. The Hydra's moving their way through. Queen's helping out, but on the open field, able to micro against the lurkers. Cure trying to grind his way through and doing a capable job. Another Queen gun down on the ramp. The medevacs are entirely drained of it. Those units need to stop stimming or at least chill for a moment. Ideally, Cure will be adding in some Liberators to complement this army. Or obviously, Ghosts are good against gestures to Zerg. But it is almost an all-in. As 65 SCVs, the main base is starting to mine out. Is he sending out a... No, it's not a fake. He's just sending out a double drop. But Cure realizes that Dark has held. And now, different measures must be taken. Double drop knocks out the base that Dark again and again has attempted, and again Cure has put it down. The scattering of lurkers at the 4th has held the line. In Dark's defense, it's not been a strong one, but it's been a flexible one, and sometimes that's more exciting. Ghosts on the way. 3-3 for Cure. Dark not able to find the space for those upgrades until this moment. Starts +3 attack, but Dark is maxed out. He's got 10 more workers. And now a Nidus on the way. The Nidus. A single Nidus with enough lurkers inside is how a lot of Terrans become undone. Cure has a sensor tower in the main, though, so he's clearly anticipating something like this. Unfortunately, Dark did not anticipate this drop coming through and loses yet another hatchery. Cure's whack-a-hatch strategies still coming through to great effect. And Dark, he's been on defense the entire game, ever since those Zerglings were driven out the natural. Dark has had to play defense against the Marines, the Medevacs, the Marauders, and the Banshees. Maybe the Banshees most of all, but... Here. He's building the right army. He's making the right moves. But Dark has all the tools as well. So it's still anybody's game here. He's doing a great job of keeping Dark at bay. But Cure hasn't even taken a 4th base yet, which means his income is starting to suffer. And that trend line is certainly not sparking joy for the Terran army. Another triple drop. But Dark has enough lurkers. He's had that Nidus, but Cure's confident enough the Nidus isn't nearby. In fact, Cure is fully turtling up. He's hardening his shell. Plenty of ghosts. 3-3 done. And siege tanks on the back line. It looks like Cure content to sit back and let Dark come to him. Which, a risky endeavor. A wave of snipes. Does he not have Ghost Cloak? Oh no, only one favor of Cloak, and it doesn't come in Ghost size. Alright, that one's for the Banshees. You gotta pay again to adapt the technology, which is remarkably lazy that they have the exact same icon. Which, if Cure would start it, then we would know what that looks like, but you can take your guesses. There it is. Thank you. But Cure's struggling to take this fourth base. The Vipers, somewhat zoned out by just a couple Vikings, though I'm not sure he's gonna be... Wait, there's more Vikings over here. Yanks the Ghosts in, which is a bold move indeed. Loses the Vipers, of course. The Vikings putting down Nidus Worms. The triple Lurker moving to intercept the drop. Another attack. The Lurker, he's just dropping... I don't know... you know, I'm pretty well. I honestly went better than expected. With the Marauders dropping out, another Lurker coming down. Few more. Does he have adaptive talent? He does. Just doesn't give him the speed anymore. More ghosts on the way. +3 Carapace. Dark filling in those upgrades. The upgrades are pretty thin here. Just the basic upgrades for both sides. 3-3 infantry weapons and armor, +3/+2 with +3 Carapace on the way. Neither side really finding the space to get much more than that. 6 Overlords in production. Operation Overlord in full swing. What's it going to be? Lurkers, Lings, Hydras, all of the above? No, just Lurkers. It's only Lurkers. Oh my god. A massive Lurker drop. If he can't get a Nidus in, he says he'll shove it in. And if we were doing phrasing, we would have been done a long time ago, so we're not even gonna bother. The drops come out. The Lurkers will cover the Nidus. The beachhead has been established, and it's Cure's main base. The Liberators will siege. He's actually making a bunch of Overseers now. There is no escape. We'll burn the boats or turn them into Overseers, which is arguably worse. The Liberators, though... Okay, so... a good attempt here from Dark, but... actually, the existence of Liberators invalidating a lot of this, and there's no escaping. I don't know if he meant to turn every single one of those. He did want detection, but... The Lurker's still in the main, though. Cure scrambling to defend his third base under attack as well. There's still an Overseer above. The Ghost being interrupted. Another Nidus. And Liberators, the one thing they can't do is kill those Niduses before they complete. More Lurkers in towards the center base, and Cure is running out of options. He has so many Ghosts and nowhere to put them. 18 Ghosts on the field, gutting down Hydras one after another, but 15 SCVs dead. The Orbital Command is on fire, and not in a fun way. Dark moving forward on top of the tanks with the Lurkers, but the scan will help him pincushion some more. Meanwhile, the Lurkers underneath the Orbital, and Cure's just all in. Lucky for him, some of the Lurkers back at home not burrowed. Dark microing, but going straight for the heart of the swarm. And the Nidus! He's trying to pop out of the Nidus. He didn't target the Nidus. He desperately needs a scan. EMP doesn't solve his problems. There's only one Lurker here. The Ghost doing a ridiculous job. If there wasn't that one Lurker, in fact, this army might actually have broken through. In fact, it is breaking through. The Lurker did a lot of... Whoa. The army supplies are dead even here. The Lurkers are still working their way through. Changeling's convincing Curie has more than he has back at home. More Lurkers into the natural, but there's no minerals there anyways. Dark The Nidus is gone. So we can't be transferring anything else. The orbitals! Why does this keep happening to you, Cure? How does this happen so often? More than any other player by like an order of magnitude, Cure's got orbitals flying across the map. And here's the crazy thing, is, you know what? Oh my god, the lurker on the field! I didn't mean that, but that also counts. The scans! He needs the scans! There are 0 SCVs left on the board. Dark is barely mining. Cure is not. What a ridiculous game. Wait, what is the army? There's 10 lurkers. If he had them on hold position, like, hold fire, they could very well... Wait. 2 orbitals remain. Infestation pit is gone. 1 orbital is almost burning. 1 orbital remains. He needs that scan. He's gonna have to go. He pre-scans, but the orbital, that was it. That's all he's got left. Dark. Well, there's still a base. That queen pops out. Wait, that's the last orbital. Oh, come on, Cure. It's burning in a corner. It's dead. He has not rebuilt his base. Now Cure is fighting for a draw. But there's still 10 lurkers on the map. That's, it's a disaster. The lurkers. Wait, is there no detection? Cure has not rebuilt his base and is being revealed. Dark still has enough, like, you can't force, the lurkers won't run out of energy and be forced to unburrow. They're not gonna come up for air. But they do anyways, which is nice of them, I guess. Wait, does he have a lair? He has a hive. Dark, why aren't you building an overseer? Will he start attacking his own hatch? Oh, there's a couple ghosts that are uncloaked. The ghosts are running out of energy. He gets... that's too much. Wait. Dark is rebuilding. You know you still have a lair, right? Dark, bamboozling my brain. I mean, I guess it doesn't cost gas if you just build spores, but... Cure is still being... He didn't manage to get a single SCV out. The orbital's burned. He's floating a command center to the corner, but he just spotted a whole bunch of drones. Dark going for the bingo strategy of getting bases in every corner. Another burrow here. There's no way to get detection. The only way Cure can find a way out of this is... No, that's no. Is if Dark had 0 drones left and inability to build anymore. And then we would have a draw. But that's not where we are. That's not what we're doing. Dark, in the bottom right corner, survives. And Cure just has to come to terms with that. There is no way. He's got 12 spore crawlers. He actually canceled Burrow and restarted it. With the foresight of the hive, he gets on top. The Foggle! And he eviscerates the ghosts and Cure's chances of even dragging this series to a regame. Not this time. Dark holds it down and he slices him out. A decisive victory for the final boss. Cure made it interesting. Once he figured out Banshees are indeed the path towards victory, he steered a much better one. But at the end of the day, Dark was prepared. And when things get crazy, well, you look to Dark for the light. I thought that would be a little bit more profound, but pretend it was. Please clap and like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I hope this ridiculous series made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon, a YouTube membership, but we already mentioned liking and subscribing being free, so I hope this made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Make sure to check out Recommended as well. YouTube recommends that to me to recommend to you. And moving on. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.